Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. This is transition time. We've gone from the late winter and spring flush of blooms and the types of blooms, and we've now got some in-betweeners that are still in bloom, and we have the summer blooms on their way. So it's that transition time when there's not as much in bloom, but there's plenty to come. So that's the pair of foxgloves that came from Carol. So those are our native foxgloves. These are very attractive to the larger bees, not honeybees. Well, you don't see any honeybees anymore, thanks to various things like pesticides. But yeah, that's our native foxglove. You can go and find those in the wild, and sometimes in thousands, often in disturbed areas. So like where they once were in open ground, and that open ground has become forested, and then it's cut down, and you will just get a mass blooming the following year. Absolutely stunning. I've seen it several times. The Aquiledias in the main have gone over. I'm not sure whether to let them seed or not, although in some cases they already have. But there's only so much room in this bed, you know, and if we get a couple of hundred Aquiledias taking over the place, then who knows what will happen. But I think for this year I will just let them seed. And then tucked in here are some blooms on a plant that I've kept saying for ages, oh, these will bloom soon. And it's this stuff. It's a type of campanula, I believe. And tucked up in here are the purple blooms that I've been going on about for ages, that we've just been waiting for. So those are coming. There's clumps of those all over the place, so those will start appearing now. And then whatever that is extending now. There will be blooms on each of those extensions. There's another native foxglove coming up here, and I'll show you this now and we'll come back to it. That looks like a weed, doesn't it? There's another one there, and there's also some more of these purple blooms, and that is a weed. Some things I can tell. I do need to have a go round and sort out some weeds. They are getting about now. The ferns are looking good. This, I believe, is Michaelmas daisies, in which case that is as well. Look at the leaves, you know, they're the same. And then this is phlox, and therefore so is that, and that is very advanced. That will be in bloom very soon. The fuchsia is pushing on nicely now and is getting buds, so we will have blooms on there soon. The rose is looking good. It's not as tall as last year, but hopefully there's still some growing time left and it will carry on growing. Another phlox here. I think this is, yeah, this is flopped. So the base of it's over there where the rest of it is. But again, you know, it's supposed to be a wild looking border. Now we have a blue geranium here. Lovely blue colour, that one. And we have a double Aquilegia. Lovely double purple that's come out, a late one. So that's good. This is the original one that's fallen over. It got so heavy. It was enormous. Some more of those purple campanulas down there. There's another big clump of them there, and they'll be in bloom soon. The London Pride is just about hanging on there. It's getting a bit swamped now. It's the trouble, this type of border can become overgrown quite quickly. And then we've got some more types of geraniums. It's a lovely, virtually white one here. So that's good. Another pink one there. And then this group of foxgloves, you can see the big bumblebee on there now. The big bumblebees love the foxgloves, they really do. And these are hybrids over this side. The original bloom is the giant, that one, and then the side shoots and the smaller plants that were in the pot are coming up alongside. Same here, the giant one up the top there. One of the giant ones has already flopped over and had to be cut off. But yeah, so foxgloves are doing well. Then coming round here, all of these herbs will be in bloom soon. The extensions are pushing on hard now, so these will have blooms soon. The I've forgotten what they're called now, chives. The chives have done really well this year. So obviously last year they were doing nothing more than getting going. And this year they've got going basically, so the blooms are much better this year round. So that's looking good. And then that plant I pointed out, let's quickly go back without getting seasick. That there. I will even zoom in on it. Take a good look at those leaves. Yeah? Now put them to memory. And come over here. Up in under my acer. Would you say those leaves are the same? Because I would. And if they are the same, it's a Californian poppy, because there's the bud. And lots more of this campanula up in under this tree. It's in the cracks in the paving, and quite honestly, I'm just going to let it grow. It'll just take over this area. So let it be, as they say. Oh, my ace is looking good. Even this has got flowers on. But where the sun gets this time of year, it gets this lovely pink tinge on the leaves. This absolutely lights up when the sun gets on it, which it would do now if the clouds would disappear. You can see my shadow. But that's looking really good. I love this tree. This came from the other house in its pot. My son managed to lift it, and we had to cut a few branches off, but it grew back again. That's the main thing. Oh, and I suppose if we're looking at blooms, my Satsuki azalea has got a lovely load of blooms this year. Lovely red and lots of new growth as well. So that's taken over well. I must get that moss out. Right, then coming round here we have the geranium that was already here, and it's buried in the ivy, but you can see it all bursts out of the ivy, so there's lots of it. There'll be a mass of flowers here. This bit on the end is the first bit to bloom, and this is a gorgeous geranium. Lovely colour, lovely markings, and this rose is looking pretty good as well. Looks a bit flopped, looks a bit bedraggled, but then we haven't had much rain lately. But the top part of it, these are new growths for this year. A mass of buds up there. So they're to come. Down here, some of these primulas are still in bloom, which makes me think they can't be primroses. They must be primulas to still be in bloom this time of year. So that's good. And the two lavenders that came from Carol are starting to get buds. So these are coming into growth now. They're starting to look a bit better. It's a pair of those. The idea would be a nice clump to sort of greet you as you come down the path. The geraniums that Hannah planted under the hedge, they're in quite a bit of bloom now. And I discovered the other day, I'm really not sure how this has happened. I planted that ground cover there, a couple of pieces, and it's growing on nicely. So how did that bit get there? And more importantly, how did that bit get there? And then over here we have another type of ground cover. Well, how did it get there? And in addition to that, I started doing some weeding the other day, and I stopped dead in my tracks, because this looks like weeds, doesn't it? That is. But look, again, a little bit of that ground cover there and there. But it hasn't flowered. But do you know what this is? This is thyme. Because when I started pulling it out, it got on my hands and I could smell it, and I thought, that's thyme. Well, given that the thyme from Carol died, where have those seedlings come from? Because this one that Hannah planted and this one that Hannah planted have only just gone in the ground. This again, this is thyme seedlings. And here, and there, and over here in the bit that gets flooded. That's that flipping periwinkle stuff. I'll try and pull that out. And look, it's even got in a crack in the paving, just where I want it. And I wasn't joking then, I'm serious. So we've got thyme coming up all over the place. And I'm wondering how much of this is thyme. Some of it is a type of moss algae. So there we go, we're going to have thyme all over the place, which is good. You know, it's ground cover, it will flower. But how it's got there, it's difficult to say. Right, where did we get to? More geraniums over there. They're the same sort again that Hannah planted those under the hedge just for a bit of colour, so that you don't have to look at the hedge quite so much. Now this bush has never been identified, but look at the amount of growth this year. And I'm not going to touch it. This year I'm going to let it go because I want to see if it's going to bloom. I believe it's orange blossom. That's a common name, it's not its proper name. But it needs to bloom to prove it. If it is, then it will have nice white blossom on. But look at the growth. It's absolutely superb. And the growth on the wisteria is not long for this world. That's going to have to come off. Otherwise it will take over the world. And over here, our camellia that we discovered, that has the red blooms on, is growing really well. This is all new growth. So hopefully we'll get a mass of red blooms next year. I was going to try and prune it, but I think I'm just going to let it grow this year, seeing as this is its first full year in the daylight. Right, coming on round. Buddleia blooms any day now. That's close to opening. There's two different types in here. There's a dark one and the natural pink one, the one that often, well, looks like the one that grows wild. Invasive plant, shouldn't be in this country really, but these are hybrids. But this is going to be out soon, and looking at the physical amount, the sheer amount of spikes, this is going to be a mass of blooms, hopefully visible from some distance, and the butterflies will find it. Not that there's many around, but hopefully those that are around. Oh, look at that. Black fly. It's difficult to know what to do. You can't really spray that because those blooms are going to be open soon. So if it's sprayed, mind you, I do have some non-toxic type sprays. I could mix up some of that, just a soapy wash type thing. Yes, we'll do that. I don't want chemical sprays in the garden, especially at ground level, because Mojo chews practically anything that's green. It just walks along biting at things. The cuckoo flower in here is almost done now. I think these are the last two spikes with blooms on, but I've left all the spikes on. I'm hoping that that will self-seed in this area. No guarantees, but we can always hope. And then whatever was planted in this tub is now pushing on nicely. Maybe Carol can possibly identify it now. There's a bit more of it to look at, so to speak. But I can't remember what I planted in here. I really can't. It's a bit of a mix anyway, that's for sure. Because there's this stuff as well, which looks like creeping jenny to me, which should have little yellow flowers, if it is. But yeah, this is the cuckoo flowers spike that's gone over, and these are all seed pods, so I'm just leaving them, just to see if they will seed naturally, and then I'll have to remember not to pull them out. The geum is coming on now. I've had to tie the spikes in because they keep flopping over, especially once the weight of the blooms come on. But this was bought as a splash of colour, and it does its job. It will be in bloom right through the summer. Just keep deadheading it. As the blooms go over like this, just stop them going to seed. And yeah, that's coming on well. The sedum, however you say it, is extending now. So once these start to extend, the blooms will come soon. Inside these little rosettes are a pad of blooms. It's not like single flowers, they're a pad. And the valerian is coming into flower. So now we definitely know that it is valerian, and it will produce flowers on the side shoots. There's only 2 plants there, or I'm not sure whether it's 1 plant and a bit off the edge, but that's going to be in bloom soon. That's a real butterfly and bee magnet, but with only 1 spike there. Again, I'm hoping, I mean, you can find red valerian in the wild. I don't remember seeing it myself, but then I'm not absolutely sure what these blooms are going to look like yet. We'll find out soon. But I'm hoping again that seed from this will find its way into the gravel bed and form a nice clump, and at which point perhaps, you know, next year perhaps some can be moved and establish some clumps elsewhere. But it needs the sun, so you know there's only so many places that can go. Now my other golden fuchsia over here that I thought I'd lost does seem to be starting to grow now. It's not growing anywhere near as well as it did last year. So, and the spiky bush, the giant pyracantha that I had to hire somebody in to cut down, the one that's in there is starting to go mad, so we've got a job for Super Hannah when she's down. And that, which I thought had got some sort of blight or something, has now come into growth, so it's not going to die, which is good because it would leave a big hole. So all that needs doing is just trimming off just below the height of next door's shed, just so that we've got some green in here rather than looking at a lanky old fence basically. Right, this bit I'm going to show you because it's really nothing to do with me, but I will take full advantage of it. Coming up over the top of the shed is a bramble that's about to be a mass of blooms. Again, butterflies and bees. Must have just got in between the two in the boundary, around in behind the shed somewhere, but I mean I can lean over there and trim it at the end of the year when the blooms are gone. This group here, 2 types of lavender. This one's come into bloom now. I've seen a few hoverflies on it, but I haven't seen any bees yet. And then this is the other type of lavender that's up here. So this will be in bloom soon. This one is far more attractive to the bees. The perpetual wallflower is going to be gone soon, I think, because obviously you can see the older spikes here have finished blooming completely. There's still a couple of new ones lower down, but the number of new ones is now decreasing. The plant will go into growth mode, ready for next year, and these need cutting off really because it's wasting its energy producing seed. So we'll give that a trim at some time. The rosemary's just growing on in the background here. It's already bloomed in places, but you have to go careful how you prune that, because it blooms on the previous year's wood. So these are the places where next year's blooms will be. And if it's not pruned, that will be an absolute mass. So there's the clue. Even though it starts to get a bit woody if you don't prune it back, this year we're not going to prune it, and that will be a mass of blooms next year. And that's early blooms, you know, for nectar, for plants early in the year. The catmint has got blooms on. Unfortunately, it has to live on the table. It's all in the name, you know, catmint. And I have a cat, and he practically wrecked that. He knocked the pot over and rolled on the plant. Little tyke. This is, I've forgotten what a chilia or something. The wild form is called yarrow, but again it has platform, tiny blooms but in a platform. Those will be open soon. It's getting a bit frazzled in places. I have to make sure. It's one of those that has to be hydrated but hates soggy roots. So I have to make sure the pot doesn't get out. Oh, look at these. Oh, it's marks. I thought that was huge green fly. It's not. It's marks, but we've got some black fly. This is the other buddleia. This is the white one. And again, we can now see the flower buds coming. So that's that. That's really about it. I mean, there's quite a lot of this ground cover stuff that's pushing on now. See, this looks incredibly like London Pride, but I don't think it is, but it's similar. But I think the label said that it blooms in the summer, so we may get blooms on that clump there. That I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. Might have to wait till next year. This will bloom. In fact, that could be flowers there. In which case this should have some too. No, it's just growths, it's just extensions. But they will bloom soon. So, yeah, that's about it for now. The camellia has long since gone. Big pile of dead bits. But I'm not going to clear them up. They will just rot down in and help feed the plants in that area. You know, the primroses, there's bluebells in there, snowdrops. They'll all help add to the fertility, so we leave them there for now. And yeah, that's it. So as I said, we're in that transition. There's blooms to come, in some cases a lot, and some that have gone over and we won't see them again till next spring. But I'm quite pleased with the way things are going. I'm especially pleased with the ferns. That amount of green over there, well pleased with that. Even from a distance, it looks almost tropical, even though none of those would grow in the tropics. It'd be too warm for them. So there we go, and I'll see you next time. Just a quick sort of update as what's going on. Bye for now.